Brian, first time you've been a grand marshal, if you will, of a grand opening.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I love this area. Pocono is a great racetrack, but I have a lot of friends in this area, and it's cool to be here at Cleveland Brothers. And Caterpillar does things big equipment, first class machinery, and just you see here, it's a great facility, and proud to be here to open it up.
Well, now we've been involved with you now for about a year and a half. Are there any surprises in a year and a half, or something that you didn't know about Caterpillar, the dealers, the customers, that kind of surprised you a little bit?
I wouldn't say it surprised me, but I think just the loyalty of the cat emblem, Caterpillar in general. Just it's pretty impressive to see how loyal people are to a product, and it's obviously it goes without saying that the equipment's great, but it does its job whether it's moving dirt or carrying it or whatever else. So.
And if you got questions, just try to get our attention. We'll get out here and make sure you get your questions answered. You talked about the equipment. You actually run a piece on the farm. Tell us a little bit about what you do at home, off the track, when you're on your own.
Yeah, I have cows and buffalo at home. So for the winter, just like us, they got to eat too. But when there's snow on the ground, they need hay. So spend a lot of time making hay. Use the compact track loader, 259B. That is really nice. The enclosed cab's really nice when it's 100 degrees down in North Carolina. But use it for stacking a barn full of hay. Actually, Monday I put in about 95 bales. So we're good for the winter now. Everything else is a bonus.
So now those are the big round bales, though. You're not talking
big
squares.
round 4x4 bales. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Stacking them 3 high.
3 high. So you can get the height on that. Now you talked about comfortable. How does running a 259 compare to running the 31 car?
Well, it doesn't go as fast, but it is nice to have a button to make it go faster. I wish the race car had a button to make it go faster sometimes. But no, I mean, it's a totally different piece of equipment, but I guess in the end, you're still trying to get a job done. And we've been fairly successful with our 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet. We finished second last year in the chase for the championship, so we've been close. It was a good year. And we look forward to this weekend because it's cat colors on the race car here at Pocono, and we haven't been to victory lane yet. And there'd be no place better for Cleveland Brothers to be on the deck lid and get a first victory.
Well, and we heard a little bit of history here. The first race that Jay went to, he was saying that was Rockingham in 2001, and the Caterpillar car won that race. So.
We know what Jay's doing on Sunday.
Yeah. And we better know what you're doing too.
Yeah, that's the plan. It's a big fun racetrack. It's all 3 corners are a little bit unique, and they repaved the tunnel turn in turn 2 for this race, so it should be a lot smoother. It's going to be different for everybody, but it's kind of a combination of road course and oval, and I like it.
Well, now you talked about them repaving the tunnel turn, and if anybody watched that race in the first race of the year, that was getting pretty rough. So you're going to go in without any practice, basically. How do you guys approach that when they change the tracks and you don't have any time on it?
A lot of the work's done with simulation, but the biggest thing is they made the racetrack better by making it smoother. So what we would have done as far as preparing for a rougher racetrack had we come back, we really don't have to do. So it's actually way easier with the change that they made to come back and be prepared for it than if we came back and as we were surprised for the first race as to how rough it was.
Questions out there? Anybody have any? Raise your hand or get my attention. Okay, how rough was that? And for what we might understand, you used to run a skid steer loader on tires.
Yeah.
And that can be rough.
Yeah.
So how does that compare to the tunnel turn before they repaved it?
It was really so rough with the race car that we physically were worried about having parts on the car break, like suspension components, A-frames, shocks, shock mounts, things like that. It was that rough. So I mean, it's probably the roughest I've ever had inside a race car. Kentucky's kind of bouncy, but Pocono, where the tunnel was, it was like there's a double tunnel there, and you hit the first one, and then it just kind of amplified for the second one. It's like you were already up in the air, and you came back down, and you hit even harder. So it was really rough.
Couldn't you go faster and just jump that second one?
We're trying to go as fast as we could.
Okay. I tell you what, if you have a question, come on up. Come on up. What's your question here?
Hi, Ryan. I'm from Congressman Barletta's office, so thank you for being here. Thanks for having us here. My question is, how do you like the newer engines on the car compared to the bigger motors of the cars in last year?
It is the same, for those that don't know, it's the same exact engine. They just use a tapered spacer between the intake and the throttle body. So basically, it's just restricting the air. It's going from a big straw to a small straw, and it knocks out about, I think, 80 or 90 horsepower. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter a whole lot because of the reduced drag on the race car by the shorter spoiler. So it all kind of equates out. We're actually going about the same speed, but what we've lost is a little bit of throttle response. You know, the big carburetor, big motor type feel, being able to do a burnout and have a lot more power at the bottom end. That's what's really changed. It hasn't changed the racing in my perspective, but what it did was keep us in a window of keeping the cars a little bit safer. We were getting so fast at some of these racetracks, like even at Pocono, Michigan, we were 215 going into the corner. And our cars, when you turn them around at 215, they like to fly, and we don't need that.
Thank you.
Okay, speak loud.
If my buddy drive,
Can your buddy drive? You can get in. You want to get in? You don't want to get in?
Your birthday?
Let's go get in. Come
Your
on.
birthday today? How old are you?
7,
Well, I don't know that you're legal to drive it, but you can get in it.
You want to get in?
Come on.
Tell you what, we'll grab that afterwards. We'll get him in there and get a picture of him.
Listen, he needs a new shirt.
yeah.
You know, sorry.
If we get him a new shirt, we'll get him in the car. For his 7th birthday, if he didn't get him a shirt yet, maybe get one for when he turns 8.
So, you know, we talked a little bit, the question about the rules package change. The engine changes from 14 to 15, but now you've got some more rules packages from race to race. How does that affect you? Does it affect the team more than it affects you? What gives that?
It absolutely affects the team more than it does me. The biggest change with the Indy and Michigan rules packages, there's a lot more drag on the car. There's a lot more downforce on the car compared to the low downforce package, but there's the drag difference is different from our typical 2015 rules. So after Kentucky, that same package will go to Darlington. We'll run it there, the low downforce package. After Indy, we'll take that same package to Michigan. So we got one each left of basically the driver's recommendation, which is the low downforce package, and NASCAR's hypothetical best case scenario, which is what we call their science project for Indy and Michigan. So we got one race left there at Michigan for that. So in the end, we all have to drive the same type of package, which makes us all pretty equally competitive, but it's really tougher for the guys because the aerodynamics of our race car are what dominates how well it sticks. How much downforce you have front versus rear, changes the nose weight, changes how much we have ballast in the car that we move around left and right, forward and backwards, and make a difference in how the car handles. So all those things combined makes it harder on the team guys than it does the driver. Steering wheel's still in the same position.
Well, you've actually done pretty well in Lake Pocono. Pocono's been a good track for you over the years. Are you guys bringing the same car that you used?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
is it the same one they used at Pocono first time around?
Yes.
Okay, so you're bringing the same
Fixed.
car.
Fixed.
It got fixed.
Yeah.
Because
We got turned around going into turn 1.
when you were running
6th, I think.
6th at the time, so you were running well. So I think we can look forward to that. Any other questions out here? We got a question right here.
How fast does your car go?
How fast does my car go? At Michigan last year, we were doing like 218 going into the corner, which is really fast. Here at Pocono, I'm guessing we'll probably average 180, 185. So we'll hit probably 205 going into turn 1 in qualifying.
So how fast do you want to go when you get a car?
I don't know.
Just as long as it's faster than everybody else.
Yeah, just as yes, sir. Question. Come on up.
Curious, being that it's race weekend, how hectic is it for you to make?
How the question is a race weekend? How hectic is your schedule? And doing something like this, how does this weigh in on you?
Nothing big. I mean, we flew up a couple hours early to come here. Typically would have come up around dinner time. Just with the kids, since they came up this weekend, we try to keep eating and sleeping schedule normal, whether it's napping or bedtime or whatever. So it's really not any different doing an appearance like this. I mean, it's pretty hot for Pocono right now, but from what I understand, it's supposed to cool off a little bit.
Yeah, how does that play in the car? You know, talking about the heat, how do you stay cool in the car?
I have, you see on the quarter windows of the car, those are called NACA ducts. Those go to feed the race car and they go to feed me. It all depends on what we what I work out as a deal with my crew chief, because everything that we put inside typically air-wise is good for cooling but bad for downforce. But there's times that you actually physically have to cool yourself off inside the race car. So Indianapolis, with that bumper extension that we had underneath the cars were super, super hot for everybody. So we ducted more air to myself than we typically would have, just to keep from getting too hot. I've actually got a burn on my left heel from Loudon 2 weeks ago. That where like a 50-cent piece just actually cooked right through my heel. First time I've ever had that happen. But I have air conditioning, which turns into about ambient air to my helmet inside the car. I have anybody that's got a vehicle with air-conditioned seats, that same material that they use in air-conditioned seats, I put in my uniform. So I'll unzip my uniform, slide it in there, got a little port that goes in and circulates some air around my guts, basically, which just kind of helps keep me cool, keeps your core temperature down. And then we'll duct some air to my feet, underneath my seat, just to try to keep the hot spots out of the car.
Okay, well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're in just a minute going to take Ryan over, and we're going to ask you to kind of go around and cue in this way. But Ryan, thank you very much for your time, and welcome to the Cleveland Brothers grand opening of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton store, and hope you have a great weekend at the track.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll put